Review of final assessment notation. Question 1's instructions read, to multiply. We have a 3x plus 6 divided by an x plus 3 times a 4x to the second power plus a 2x plus a 36 over x squared minus 4. Let's start with the first one. We have a 3x plus 6. They have a 3 in common, so we're going to divide a 3 out so that we're left with 3 times an x plus 2 over an x plus 3. On the other side, I can see that I have a 4 in common between the first term, the second term, and the third term, so I'm going to divide out a 4. So I end up with x squared plus 6x plus 9. This is over the top of x squared minus the 4, which can also be squared, which is 2 squared. I'm going to take the trinomial up here and I'm going to pull it out to the side. What I'm going to do is look for factors of 9 that sum to a positive 6. So I've got that 9 from the C position, I've got the 6 from the B position. So I have a 3 times a 3 equals a 9. Well, 3 plus 3 equals 6, so I end up with an x plus 3 times an x plus 3 in my top position. With the difference of squares down here, I end up with an x minus 2 times an x plus 2. Coming down, now I can look at some canceling from the top to the bottom before I multiply these together. I have an x plus 2 in the top here, and I have an x plus 2 in the bottom on the other side, so I'll cross them out. I have, looking across, I don't have a 3, I don't have a 4. X plus 3, I have one in the bottom, so I'll cross those out. And then I have an x plus 3, I don't have another one in the bottom, so I can't cancel it. So let's pull everything together that we have left. In this first one we have a 3. Even though this canceled x plus 3, it's not a 0, it's a 1. So it's a 3 over 1 times a 4x plus 3, so 4x plus 3 over x minus 2. So I'll put that x minus 2. Now I'm ready to multiply this thing back together. So I have a 3 times a 4 for a 12, x plus 3, over 1 times an x minus 2, so I have an x minus 2. I can stop there. I don't need to distribute the 12 through. I can leave it as is. Now I'm going to move on to the next one. It says divide. So on number 2, I have a 30x to the 6th divided by an 18y to the 11th. This is then divided by the fraction 45x to the 4th over 18y to the 7th. The first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this as a multiplication. So the divisor, the second fraction, is going to flip over. It's going to become its reciprocal. So that I have the 18y to the 7th in the top and the 45x to the 4th in the bottom. Now I have a multiplication problem. I want to pull this thing apart so I can look at canceling. So if I look at the 30, I can break it down into its prime numbers. A 2 times a 3 times a 5 times my x to the 6th. My 18 can break into prime numbers. 2 times 3 times 3 equals an 18 times my y to the 11th. My 18 in the top can also do the same. 2 times 3 times 3 times y to the 7th. And then the 45 breaks down to 3 times 3 times 5 times x to the 4th. Now I can start canceling. I have a 2 in the top and a 2 in the bottom, so I'll cancel those. I'll cancel these pair of 3's here. Moving over, I have a 5 up here, so I look along the bottom to see if I have another 5. There's another 5, so I canceled the 5's out. Then I come into the x's here. I have 6 of them in the top. I look to see how many do I have along the bottom. I have 4, so I can cancel a total of 4. So I'll cancel the 4 down here, and up here I'll mark this out. 6 minus 4 leaves me with a 2, so I have 2 x's left. Moving over, I have another 2 here, but I don't have any 2's left anywhere in the bottom, so I can't take that 2. but then I run into another 3. I can take a 3 to a 3 in the bottom, and this 3 to another 3 in the bottom. And now I'm over to the y to the 7th. I look in the bottom, I have y's down here. I have 11 on the bottom and 7 on the top. So I can cross out all 7 on top. On the bottom, I'll cross out that 11. I'm subtracting 7 from 11, it leaves me with 4. Now I can pull everything back together that I have left and see if there's anything I missed. So along the top I have x to the second, so there's an x to the second. On the bottom in this fraction I have a 3y to the 4th power, so 3 times y to the 4th power. On the other side in the top I have a 2 left, so there's my 2. In the bottom I canceled everything out, so it went down to a 1. Now I can pull them back together, so I have an x to the second times 2, 3 times a y to the 4th. So I'm going to turn them around so that the variables are at the back. So I have a 2 x to the second, 3 y to the 4th power. Number 3 says perform the indicated operation, simplify if possible. So in this one I'm going to be I'm looking at a subtraction. Before I can subtract these though, I need to have a common denominator. So I'm going to start by taking these trinomials and factoring them. So I pull out the C position on the first one, which is a 6, and the B position, which is the negative 5. I find that a negative 2 times a negative 3 makes a positive 6, and a negative 2 plus a negative 3 makes a negative 5. So here are my two factors, so I'm going to take that x, break it apart into each binomial, and then plug in those factors. So x minus 2, x minus 3. That one's factored. Come over, work on the second one. My C position has an 8 in it. My B position has a negative 6. So I need a pair of factors that make a positive 8 and a negative 6. So a negative 2 times a negative 4 makes a positive 8. Negative 2 plus negative 4 makes a negative 6. So again, I'm going to split those x's apart and plug in those factors. So I have an x minus the 2. I have an x minus the 4 for the second one. So now I can plug those back into my fractions. So I see here now that on the left side I have an x minus 2 with an x minus 3. On the other side I have an x minus 2 with an x minus 4. So I need to combine these together, so I know that the x minus 2 is going to go into the LCD. I also know that I'm going to need the x minus 3 because I see it over here on the left, and I'm also going to need the x minus 4 from the right. So there's my LCD. That's what I want to create for my lowest common denominator. So looking at the left side, to make this situation, I still need an x minus 4. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom. As long as I multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, I'm not going to change my overall value here. So I'm going to multiply by x minus 4, multiply by x minus 4. On the other side, I still need, for the lowest common denominator, I need the x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the x minus 3. So when I pull these back together, in the bottom of both of them I end up with an x minus 3, x minus 2, x minus 3, x minus 4, x minus 2, x minus 3. Now I need to pull this x minus 4 to the 3x, so I end up with a 3x with an x minus 4. Pull this x minus 3 on the left side, or excuse me, on the right side to the 12, so I end up with a 12x minus 3. Second, I'm going to distribute through the parentheses on the top. So I have a 3x times an x to get a 3x squared, a 3x times a negative 4 to get a minus 12x. On the other side I have a 12x to make a 12x, a 12 times a 3 to make a negative 36. So I'm going to put them over the denominator that they share now, and I see that I can start subtracting these. So I'm going to subtract with the 3x squared. I have nothing in common to subtract, so I just copy it down. On the other side I have the negative 12x minus a positive 12x, so that's a negative plus a negative makes a negative 24x. And then lastly, I'm subtracting a negative 36, so a negative to a negative makes a positive 36. Now I'm not quite done with this problem. I want to now factor this trinomial and see if I can do any more reducing to simplify. So first I see they have 3's in common, so I'm going to pull out the 3. So I divided the 3 out, leaving me with an x squared minus an 8x plus a 12. Let's factor that trinomial. So I put it over here to the side. I see that in my C position I have a 12, in my B position I have a negative 8. I know that a negative 2 times a negative 6 will make a positive 12. A negative 2 plus a negative 6 then sums to a negative 8. So I can take these factors and put them into the binomial down here to break this trinomial apart. So I have an x minus the 2 from the factor over here, and an x plus this x, minus a 6 over here. Okay, so now that we have these plugged in, we can look at starting to cancel out. So we have an x minus 2 and an x minus 2 in the top and the bottom, so I can cancel those out. So now I'm left with a 3 times an x minus 6 over an x minus 4 times an x minus 3.